So, welcome back, everyone, to another episode. I'm excited to be sharing another massage boss story. This time, I'm sitting down with Nicki, and we've got your intro, your bio, but that's only just a snippet of who you are. So, I want to first lay down some context. Can you tell us about your practice as it exists today?
Sure, yeah. So my name's Nikki. I'm a massage therapist in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I've been practicing massage for coming up on 6 years, and I opened a private home practice in the West End of Toronto a little over 3 years ago. It was January 2018. And the way that it sits today, I'm typically fully booked 1 to 2 months in advance with a year-round waiting list, and I only work with the exact types of people that I want to work with, and I'm very happy.
I love to hear that, and I'm really excited to dive into how you've made that possible. We can pull out some of these nuggets of wisdom for people who are watching or listening. But one of the first things I'm curious about is always who are the people who are figuring it out, making it a massage business? Being just a massage therapist itself, employed, is a completely different skill set than being a massage business owner and then being really good on top of it. So you've got quite a diverse background of what you've done with work. You've had entrepreneurs in the family. I want to take a look back. What were you like during your teenage years? Let's say like those early teen, 13 to 15 years old. What was Nikki like that?
13-year-old Nikki was angry. I was a teenager in the 90s, so I listened to a lot of, grunge and Hole and like angry girl rock. And my favorite band to this day is Smashing Pumpkins. So yeah, a lot of hard rock, a lot of anger, a lot of bad makeup and oversized band t-shirts. And yeah, I was obsessed with music, and I felt things so deeply, as I think all teenagers do, and kind of had a chip on my shoulder and was kind of, don't tell me what to do kind of thing. Trying to assert my independence as much as I could, I guess. uh yeah, what kind of a teenager was I? The typical angry, sad. I grew with nothing really to be angry or sad about. I mean, I grew up in like an upper class home with happily married parents who were financially successful, excellent relationship with my big brothers, like very stable home life, good school, good friends. Like, didn't really have any real problems.
So, you mentioned it's kind of feeling everything, listening to a lot of music. I understand that music played a very large role in your life. Working in the music industry for a decade, working your way up to being director of sales, where you found this turning point in your life, leaving the industry. I want to understand a little bit more of what was happening around this time where you find yourself split in this decision of, am I going to go do massage or am I going to go study law?
Oh, yeah, you did your research. Yeah, I worked in the music industry for a good 10 years. I mean, between it was like 5 years at a record label and a little over 4 years sorry, 5 years at a record store, and then 4 years at a record label, and then I dabbled in film. So more or less 10 years in entertainment. And when I was at the record label, it was the biggest record company in the world, and it was shrinking. There were layoffs every year that I was there, and it got really scary. And I knew something had to change. I knew that there wasn't a lot of upward mobility. There wasn't a lot of room for improvement. And that if I did get promoted, I was just going to be next on the chopping block. So I very reluctantly quit. That was 10 years ago, actually. And then I struggled. I really, really struggled for a good 2 years to find work. Entertainment is a tough industry. Everybody wants to do it, which means there's a lot of supply of staff and not a lot of positions, and definitely not a lot of high paying positions. And I kept getting jobs that were low paying. They were contracts. They didn't have, extended healthcare benefits. They didn't have paid vacation. They had no upward mobility. It was really unstable. And I knew I had to make a change. And so I decided to go back to school and basically made a list of everything I was looking for in a career. Very closely chose law school. My brother's a lawyer, and that was a second career for him. So I strongly considered becoming a criminal defense lawyer, just like my big brother. But I know a lot of lawyers, and I don't know any who work what I would consider to be reasonable hours. They all just work way too hard for my liking, and I don't want to work that hard. So massage just checked off all the boxes. And I know that massage therapy and the law seem so different, but for me, job security was my number one concern. That was really just having come from an unstable industry. I really wanted job security. I didn't want to have to worry about a contract ending, or where was I going to get my next gig, or am I going to be laid off in a year. Um, and here in Ontario, massage therapy is a very, very secure job. So long as you don't injure yourself, you can make a good living and have steady income for your whole life. And it just checked off so many other boxes. I love that it's physically demanding. I like that it literally keeps me on my toes. I was done with sitting at a desk. I love the endless opportunities. You can do it anywhere in the world. It's super portable. You can work with all kinds of people. There are just so many options. And I love that you get to listen to music all day. I get to make my own playlists, and I get paid to listen to Otis Redding. I mean, how cool is that?
I have to say that is pretty cool. I think about this a lot. Living in Bali, I like to go like spa and massage shopping. One, it's extremely affordable, so I'm like kind of systematically working my way through like everything in I don't know, in a small radius, and the places where I can either play my own music or they have an input or something, and not the Enya on a loop or weird saxophone covers of pop songs or things like that. I'm always extremely, extremely thankful for. You sent that over, like you get to listen to Otis Redding all day. I've seen the pictures. People, I will have a link to your website, or at least your social media. You're putting up some of the posters around the practice of all the music things. I think that's just a really awesome. I'm a former musician. I guess it hurts to say former musician. So like I value that a lot, and I think that's really awesome that you do in your practice. So I understand you. So you left music, you went through massage school, and then in the beginning, which pretty normal, is working, being employed, having your employment split between two places. At what point did you know that owning your own business and not just being a massage therapist, but being like a massage boss was going to be right for you?
Um, that's a good question. I kind of always knew that when I went to the information night for my massage therapy school. The director of admissions was giving a presentation, and included in that presentation was uh, trajectory of income. Basically, these are your job opportunities, and this is how much they pay. And so before I had even enrolled in school, he basically said, if you want to be an employee or an independent contractor, working for somebody else, you're going to make, maybe 50, 60, maybe $70,000 a year. If you want to make $100,000 a year, you need to run a clinic. And I thought, oh, well, I definitely want to make six figures. So I guess that means I have to run a clinic. So it just kind of felt like that's what you needed to do. And it wasn't until I got out and I started working on my own that I realized, oh, wait, I don't have to run a clinic at all. I can totally make six figures just working for myself. So, yeah, I guess I always wanted to work for myself, but I pictured myself running a big, busy clinic. And now that's not at all what I want to do.
So now here you are, fully booked with a wait list, in a really short time, just around 2.5 years of operating a business, which I think is really impressive. I talk to people every day that struggle to get to where you're at over 5, 10, even plus years. I always like to look back because the success stories are really awesome now, but I think the beginning is where a lot of the insight happens and lets other people listen and say, get an idea of like, oh, maybe I'm in the same situation too. What did the first year of running your own business look like? How was your day to day? What were you struggling with? What did operations look like?
Yeah, uh, I skipped the struggle. I didn't want to struggle, and that's a terrible idea. I don't know why anybody would choose that. I don't think anybody is out there actively choosing to struggle, but I think they don't maybe realize that it's totally optional. So I was working two jobs, as you mentioned, and I got fed up at one of them, and I basically quit on the spot. I did give them a lot of notice. I gave them 2 months notice because it was the busy season. I didn't want to leave them hanging. But I told them at the end of 2017, by the end of the year, I'm done. And I opened up my private home practice January 2018. And I went it alone for 6 weeks just to kind of get like a baseline of what I can do on my own. I was new to the neighborhood, not new to the city, but new to the neighborhood. I work in a house, so I don't have there's no storefront, there's no signage, there was no, sandwich board sign on the sidewalk. Um, I didn't have a lot of friends in the neighborhood. I didn't have any presence in the neighborhood. Nobody knew who I was. I'd only been a massage therapist for, you know, 2.5 years at this point. Uh, I'd never run a business on my own, so I really didn't know what I was doing. And I basically just put up a DIY website and got an online booking system and told a handful of people like, hey, I'm working from home now part-time. Um, and I got about 3 to 5 people a week, which I was thrilled with. I thought that that was absolutely amazing. I thought, oh my gosh, 3 people are coming to my house and they're giving me money, and that's amazing. Um, but I need more. I can't live off of, I was treating like one person a day and charging $90 an hour, which is actually pretty low for Toronto. So I knew something needed to change, and I could either trial and error and go it alone and try to figure it out myself, or I could hire an expert to tell me what to do and skip over all of that and just fast track my way to success. So 6 weeks after opening my home practice, I hired a business coach, and within 2 months, my business tripled, and it's just basically been smooth sailing ever since.
I think that's really impressive. And also, uh, I imagine there's some sort of fear. Like, what was going through your mind with this decision of hiring a business coach? I work with business coaches. I recommend people to, and don't have to hire me, but like hire someone to get some help. You're so early in your business. How did you, I guess, justify the cost, the need? What were you thinking when making that decision?
Yeah. I was scared. It can be scary, especially because my business coach is American and the US to Canadian dollar exchange rate is not so favorable. So at the time, one US dollar was about $1.40 Canadian. So whatever it costs, however many thousands of dollars it costs in US money, add another, 30 to 40%, and that's how much I paid in Canadian dollars. So yeah, there was a hefty price tag and no guarantee. There was no money back guarantee. There was no, return policy. It was just give me this money and that's it. So the price was a little bit scary, but I had done a little bit of research. I found somebody on Facebook, and she had a lot of online content and a lot of, she used to do weekly videos where she would do these like Facebook lives, and it would be a Q&A and people could just ask her business questions. And she only works with massage therapists. So that was a big decision maker for me. My coach is a massage therapist and she exclusively works with massage therapists. So I liked that she was a specialist. And I had been following her for a few weeks and watching her videos. And I liked her style. I liked her approach. I liked her no BS attitude. She doesn't beat around the bush. I thought she gave really thoughtful, intelligent answers. And I thought this person knows what she's doing. And she offered a free discovery call. And I got her on the phone. And I thought, not only do I respect this person as a business owner, but I want to be her friend. Like I just thought she was so cool and I wanted to hang out with her. And when it came time to give her my credit card, I said to her, why should I hire you? what makes you the person I should give my money to? Why should I hire you instead of, say, Marie Forleo, who is also a business coach? And she said, well, Marie Forleo never built a successful massage therapy practice from the ground up. And I said, you're right. Here's my credit card. And it was the best decision I could have made for my business. Aside from returning to school itself, hiring a business coach, the best decision I've made for my career, hands down. I think everyone should do it.
So I love that you're able to make that decision and see the success that comes with it. One of the things I love to do is get into some of the details. So in this first year of practice, you're working for yourself for 6 weeks, then hiring a business coach and getting help. What did marketing and client acquisition look like during that time?
So the coach that I hired offers an 8-week online training course, basically with different modules. And she instructs her students on how the tools that she used to build her practice. And so I can't speak to those because they're private for her students only. But I did everything she said. I will say strategic discounts were part of it, but not Groupon. Discounts with strategy, discounts that are targeted to a specific population, that are individually handed out to the right kinds of people. It wasn't just like a blanket discount on Groupon, or, like a Google ad that says $10 off or whatever. It was much more targeted. So there were some discounts involved. I also did a lot of networking, like even outside of the training that she offered. I went to every single business networking international chapter in my city, and there are a lot, like 10 different chapters, and I visited them all. I didn't end up joining any of them, but I did visit them all, some of them multiple times. I went to a ton of business mixers, networking events. I joined pretty much every Facebook group, like local community Facebook group and community Facebook groups for entrepreneurs. And so a lot of them had networking events. And I would go to, stores in my neighborhood, like clothing stores and supplement stores and coffee shops. And I'd be dropping off flyers to anybody who would have them. I would talk to anybody who would listen. Like, I really went gung ho in my business for the first solid year, I'd say. And now I don't do any of that anymore. I haven't offered a discount in years.
So yeah, I want to get into that, where you're at now, being fully booked, having this wait list. So starting out with a very, very heavy marketing presence, using the strategic discounting into a place where you've got the clients, you've got people waiting. I think the question that people always want to ask is like, how did you do it? Tell me, what do I need to do? Can you walk us through this evolution of, marketing and client retention to build up to the point where you're fully booked with a wait list?
Sure. So client retention is actually part of Canadian training. So it's my understanding you probably work mostly with American massage therapists.
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah. So massage therapy in Canada is a completely different beast. We have minimum 2,200 hours of training. In some places, it used to be 3,000 hours. So that's 2 years full-time college. It's my understanding that Canadian massage therapists are the most trained in the world, if among the highest trained in the world, I believe. And part of our training is treatment planning. So I took an entire course on how to devise a treatment plan and basically how to communicate to a client, this is how many massages you need, and this is how frequently you need to come in, and this is the self-care you need to do. And that was just part of my training. So a lot of what I see other massage therapists struggling with is devising a treatment plan and getting people to understand that you can't just get a massage once a year and call it a day, that for this to work you really need to come in more frequently, just like going to the gym. So that was just part of my basic training that had nothing to do with business. But business training definitely helps to speak with confidence about what you do and to position yourself in a saturated market as an expert in your field. And then once I started getting Google reviews, positive Google reviews, I just hit 100 actually this week. So I'm at over 100 5-star Google reviews, which is really exciting. But once I started getting positive Google reviews, that literally put me on the map. So I didn't even appear on Google Maps until I got reviews. And then a lot of people started finding me on Google Maps, and then they saw my reviews, so those were good. And then they went to my website, and they loved my website. After my first year, I eventually hired a professional web designer and did all of my copywriting myself using the tools that I learned from my business coach. Um, and Yeah, it's now I've earned myself a reputation, and I don't do paid advertising. I never have. And I don't really do any active marketing. I check in on, Instagram once a week, and I post like a little massage themed pun, and I post a photo of my cats, and then I call it a day. I don't these days do any active marketing really. I'm not really looking to source new clients. I have enough.
Mhm. And I really like the presence that you've built on social media, sharing. You've got the Catter Days and letting people see Marla and Davy every now and again. And I also know uh, you
I've
recently.
got here she is. This is Marla right here behind
I,
me.
I know that I guess not that recently. You've also went and built an email list and started doing some email marketing from a, maybe it's more of a technical side of you, but when we think about let's say marketing as communication, whether it be with existing clients or with potential new clients, what are all the pieces that you look at and the things that you consider important for your business?
Sorry, for Mark, can you
Yeah.
say that question again?
Yeah, when it comes to marketing, and we'll define marketing as like communication, not so much this idea of always getting new clients, but you're thinking about communicating with your existing clients or communicating with potential new clients. There's Facebook, there's email, there's Instagram, all these things. What are the places that you feel are most important and have had the most impact or most important for your business?
Like the locations where I'm doing my marketing, like the platforms?
Yeah, platforms and even the methods. For example, I know I always think of, I used to work in the dental industry, and they're very big on internal marketing, because when you're sitting in the chair, you have the opportunity to read all the posters on the wall, and they give you pamphlets and things like that, versus email marketing versus the Instagram things, whichever the things that you feel are or that you're using the most in your business.
Right. Okay. Facebook has been a godsend for me. I love Facebook. It's free, first of all. Everybody's on it, literally over a billion users. And uh, I like that other people can recommend you on Facebook. I'm not a big fan of Instagram. I don't like phones. I don't like typing with my thumbs. I'm not very tech savvy. I really like words. So Instagram, I have Instagram just because it's good to have some kind of presence on Instagram, but I do not get a lot of business from Instagram at all. I get a ton of business from Facebook. So joining community groups and neighborhood groups and groups for uh, other entrepreneurs, and those are great places to network and to just kind of build up an internet presence. And massage therapy Facebook groups, even I get a lot of business from other massage therapists who either come to me for a massage or recognize me from being so active in the groups that they know that they can refer their clients to me. But definitely get a lot of business from Facebook. I love mailing lists. That was something that I started late in the game. I think I started my mailing list maybe a year or two ago. And that can be an excellent way to communicate with people because most people read their email. Whereas because of algorithms and things on Facebook and Instagram, I might make a Facebook post and I could have 500 people following me, but only 3 people are going to see it. And maybe one person will like it or engage with it. Whereas email, I could send out an email and yeah, okay, only half of them are going to open it, but that's still hundreds of people. So I'm a big, big fan of email marketing. I only send a newsletter once a month, but I just sent my monthly newsletter on the 1st, which was 2 days ago, And within a day, I had 6 Google reviews, 6 bookings, and 1 request to be added to my waiting list. And that's just from one email that took me like 20 minutes to write. So big fan of email, big fan of Facebook. Um, those would be, and Google Maps. You just Google Maps and Google reviews, absolutely essential to have a presence on Google. Those have been the biggest for me.
Now, I want to ask because I know there are a lot of people who are very, very deep into the ideas of the modalities, the thing that's going to make the difference. Also, being a Canadian, you do train more than the average massage therapist who is at least right out of school. People can always continue and add on to their education. Uh, can you just explain basically whether it's what modalities you're using or just what is the kind of work that you're doing with your clients?
I would say, and no shade to people who have a lot of modalities or to people who teach courses in modalities. Uh, I think getting extra modalities for the most part is a complete waste of time, money, and energy. If you're looking to build your business by adding certifications, I don't think that's necessarily the best use of your time and your money and your energy. If you need a niche, you need to have a target population that you're looking to serve, so you know that who you're talking to. And if a certain modality can help you better serve that target population, then I'm all for it. But I don't have a lot of extra certifications. I took a basic training in shiatsu, which I use on occasion. I did do training in Thai massage in Thailand, but I've never used it. I basically got the training so I could write off my trip, and I never practiced it, and I don't offer it. So that's it. I just do basic Swedish, a little bit of shiatsu. I don't do cupping or acupuncture or anything fancy. I do mostly relaxation massages. It's honestly nothing special. And I always tell people I'm the highest rated massage therapist in my neighborhood, and I'm fully booked with a waiting list. And it's not because I have magical hands, it's because I'm really, really business savvy.
I really love that. Actually, I have that quote written in front of me because I think you mentioned it, or either when I was doing my research or before doing the interview. Not because you have magical hands, you're very good at running a business, and that's just something I personally think is a highly undervalued skill that people don't always get. And so I wanted to ask in your own life, so you've hired a business coach, but also your father was an entrepreneur and you have a background as director of sales. How have these things come together to impact your life, your success as a business owner?
Yeah. Yeah, my dad had a huge impact on me. He passed away a few years ago. He was an immigrant from Egypt and moved to Canada by way of Europe in the 1960s and met my Canadian mother and fell in love and had 3 kids. And they were together 43 years. And she held his hand as he passed away, and I held his feet in my hands, and he was very impactful. So he was a real estate agent, a commercial real estate agent, and a landlord. So he bought a bunch of properties and basically managed the properties and rented them out to businesses. So my whole life he worked for himself, and he made very good money doing it. And he was a total boss. And he used to tell me when I was a teenager, he said, Nikki, for as long as you're working for somebody else, you will always be working for somebody who isn't as smart as you. And I know that that's probably sounds like a super snobby thing to say or to think, that I'm smarter than all of my bosses, but I do believe that. And that gave me the confidence to go out on my own. And my dad definitely instilled in all of his children um, that being self-reliant is is huge. He wanted all of his children to ultimately be self-employed, and we all are. And there's no better feeling than knowing that I don't need to rely on a boss, and I don't need to rely on a resume or an interview or somebody else's opinion of me or the job market of the music industry in order to make ends meet and to live my life. And that's a really empowering feeling. And I 100% got that from my dad. And I just want to say, I worked at the record label. I wasn't director of sales, but I was an account manager. So I did slowly work my way up the ladder. But yeah, I wasn't super in charge of anything. Unfortunately, it's a male dominated industry, and so that's another thing that drew me to massage therapy, is that it's woman dominated, and I really appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah. And thanks for that correction about your position with Universal. So I want to ask, as your business stands now, you're got full books, making money, charging really like premium prices, getting the right people, charging your value. What are you doing, or how are you communicating this value to new and potential clients? I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with. It's very easy to look and say, so and so down the street is only X price per hour. Why are you double this or 50% more? How are you communicating that across to new people who want to book a massage?
Good question. That's part of effective sales and marketing. Is It's all communication, it's copywriting, it's positioning yourself as an expert, it's adequately convincing somebody that you're worth the price. Like, yeah, I'm not cheap, but I'm worth every penny. And here's why. And actually, if you go to my website, there's a whole section called Why Choose Nicki. And I list all the reasons that set me apart from other massage therapists. And they're just examples of what makes me not necessarily better, but different or better suited to certain people. And another important aspect of that is I'm not talking to everybody. I'm talking to a specific subset of the population. I firmly believe that when you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. You can't market to everyone. You can't be all things to all people. I can't give a good massage to everyone who's ever wanted a massage. I'm going to be a great fit for some, and I'm going to be a horrible fit for others. And that is fine. I refer out all the time. And if you can get really good at marketing and copywriting and clarity in communication, that'll make all the difference. You have to learn how to stand out.
I really like the way that you've written it on your website, and there'll be a link somewhere in the podcast description or around this video that people can go check it out. It's just something I'd been doing my own research on. It's so common for, let's say, a product to just say, why us? You're trying to decide between massage book and Schedulicity or something, and you see these side by side feature comparison. It's like, here's the thing that I have. Yours is not written in this bullet point list, but you literally do have spelled out the bottom of your website, like, I have amazing music and I'm very good at what I do, and I'm not going to talk to you unless you want to have a conversation. You won't find me as your talkative therapist. And these just explicitly stated, this is why I'm awesome. And I think that's something that a big opportunity people are missing. And you mentioned you only serve a subset of people. And I understand that this is something that's really important to you, that you value a lot. One, on the business side, you have a niche, and that allows you to uh, be this expert in the space, but also being being a woman-owned business, working for yourself and not working for neither the man or literal men. And one of the things that you'd said in our kind of pre-interview blurb, I guess, is that money is a feminist issue. And I'd love to dive more into this topic and what you mean by this.
Yeah, that's something I say a lot. I I firmly believe in that. So I had mentioned earlier that one of the reasons why I chose massage therapy is because it's woman dominated. And I came from the music industry, which was a ton of fun, but rife with sexism. And I wanted to go somewhere where I was not going to be held back because of my gender, where I was going to be celebrated because of my gender. And love it or hate it, for whatever reason, most people tend to prefer female identifying massage therapists. And that's a whole other conversation. But I thought, okay, cool. That works out really well for me because I feel like my entire life I've been punished for my gender and I wanted to be rewarded for it for once. So I went into this profession knowing that I was going to be in high demand just because of the way I look. And it worked and it was true. And I would get more bookings than the men that I worked with when I worked at clinics. However, once I started running my own practice and looking around and listening to the ways that people speak, I love that massage therapy is a woman dominated profession. I'm proud of that. But when you hear the way that women talk about money, it bleeds into the way we run our businesses. And I think that holds us all back. So I'm sure you're familiar with this concept of starving healer syndrome, which is people who work in the healthcare wellness sort of sphere um, have this mentality of it's not about the money. I just want to help people. They say things like, I don't want to be greedy. Massage therapy is already expensive enough. Nobody's going to pay more than $100 an hour for a massage. It's not fair to raise my rates during a pandemic. Everybody's struggling enough. I'm scared that if I raise my rates, I'm going to lose clients. I don't want to say no to people. I should be able to help everybody, and just on and on and on with all of this nonsense, basically, that does nothing but hold us back and keep us down and keep us overworked, underpaid, burnt out, and resentful. And I don't want to contribute to that. And I don't want to be a part of it. And it breaks my heart when I see it. And in a woman dominated industry, I think there's more of it. I think this is just when you're socialized as a girl and as a woman, you are taught from day one that your entire purpose in life is to be pretty, likable, and helpful. And that's your entire goal in life. And then when you go and you try to run a business, it's, well, I don't want to charge too much because I want people to like me. Well, I don't want to charge too much because I'm supposed to be helping people. And that isn't helpful. And I don't want to punish them by charging a lot of money or raising my rates. Or I don't want people to think that I'm greedy, or I don't want people to think that I'm selfish because, I charge $120 an hour or whatever it is. And so I really do think that money is a feminist issue. I think a lot of people have sort of money mindset blocks and stories and a complicated relationship with money. I especially see this in the way women talk about money. There are all kinds of statistics about how, women earn whatever 77 cents on the dollar compared to men. We don't apply for jobs unless we meet all the criteria. We don't ask for raises. We don't negotiate salary. We don't raise our own rates. I've met a ton of massage therapists who haven't raised their rates in 10, 15, 20 years. And it's all out of these feelings of guilt and servitude and shame and feeling less than. And when I look at the gender pay gap, which absolutely exists, a lot of it is because women historically have not been given the opportunities to be in leadership positions. And it's only very recently in the course of human history that we've even been allowed to work and to run our own businesses. But a lot of it is on us. We don't ask for it. And I think it's on us to close the gender wage gap. Nobody's going to do it for us.
So I really appreciate this insight. One of the things I want to ask you with your own process of having had these realizations, gone through this process of, setting a business, building a business that's on your terms. When we think about money, especially this money mindset, these mindset blocks, uh, what can someone do to either become aware that they have them, or start this process of breaking them down? Where's a good place for them to start?
I would say, first of all, if you're a massage therapist, Google starving healer syndrome. Just Google it. There are articles all over the place about what that even is. And there are examples of the types of things that people say that would indicate that you have starving healer syndrome. It's sort of this pride that comes with undercharging. And I don't think it's actual pride. I think it's a cover up for maybe feeling guilty about not knowing how to make money. Um, so yeah, I would start with just looking that up, and everything that I just said are these thoughts that you've ever had? Are these things that you've ever muttered to yourself or out loud? Are these Just look at the way that people are talking about money, or look at your own finances. Are you thriving? Are you living paycheck to paycheck? Are you barely making ends meet? If you're not thriving, and I mean like doing really well, not just breaking even, but living comfortably, to me that's a sign that something needs to change or something can change. And then just recognize that it doesn't have to be this way. There's so much possibility out there that you might not even recognize. And it's not because, there's a massage envy across the street, or uh, the market in your neighborhood, you're convinced will only pay X amount of dollars for a massage. These are all just excuses. They're stories that we tell ourselves because we're scared, because we don't know any better. So yeah, I would say Google starving healer syndrome, read up about it. If it resonates with you, uh, it's curable. You can hire a business coach. A solid business coach will help you get out of that. And they'll also help you see your blind spots. Like, you might not even know that this is the way that you're thinking. Somebody can see what you can't see and sort of show you the way. There are also a ton of books out there. There's like Jen Sincero wrote, You're a Badass at Making Money. There's Get Rich, Lucky Bitch. There are all kinds of books out there about money mindset. I've never read any of them, so I can't recommend any of them. But they're out there. Ramit Sethi is another guy that I follow. He's like an American money guy, and I'm on his mailing list. And he has some really interesting insights and a no BS approach to money mindset. Yeah, there are thought leaders that you can follow, and there's all kinds of work that you can do to change the way that you think about money. Because when you change the way that you think about money, you can go and get more, and it doesn't have to be that hard. A lot of the financial struggle that I see in this industry it's in our head. It's completely self-inflicted. We could be 100% convinced that nobody's going to pay more than whatever, $70 an hour for a massage, but you haven't even tried. You haven't even asked.
You mentioned for your own business that essentially struggling was a choice. You don't have to go through this. You hired a business coach very early on in the journey of being self-employed. And so looking back, you got to, have a guide to the top of the mountain, avoid a lot of the potholes. But I want to ask, what was the scariest part of building your business to where it is today?
Hmm. I guess when you're building a business, you you have to put yourself out there. You have to, in order to get a sale, you have to ask for a sale. You have to have a presence. You have to make your existence known. Nobody's going to buy from you if they've never heard of you, right? So you have to have a website, you have to have an Instagram account and a Facebook account. You have to promote yourself. You have to talk about yourself. You have to sell yourself. You, for me, I work from home. So my cell number, my home address, my personal email address, like all of this very personal information is out there on the internet. Anybody can find it. So there's my physical safety at stake too. But really, it's just the bigger you get, the more people you expose yourself to, the more criticism you open yourself up to. And that can be a little nerve wracking, and that could be a scary place to be. I have a blog, and every time I hit the publish button, like my heart skips a beat because I think this is just going to open me up to all kinds of criticism. And it can be scary, but the alternative is not doing any of that and then not succeeding. So I don't see a way to get successful without moving through discomfort. I just, I don't see that as an option. I don't know anybody for whom it was just smooth sailing the entire time. You're going to have to do things that make you uncomfortable. And I think so many people don't get there because they just don't want to be uncomfortable.
And so, with where you're at your business today, your original idea was to build this large practice when you realize, hey, I don't have to do that to earn the money and live the life that I want. So, what is the next step for you? What is this next goal that's in your horizon?
So what I'm working towards now is earning 100K a year part-time. So, which I'm essentially already doing. I massage 4 days a week, around 9 months a year. So I usually take, 10 to 12 weeks of vacation a year. And pre-pandemic times, I would use that time to travel. I haven't gone anywhere in the past year. Um, and yeah, to consistently pull in 5-figure months, which I'm doing. Um, that's kind of my goal. I like to keep it simple. I don't want to run a big busy practice. I don't see myself earning millions of dollars doing this. I know it's possible if I, wanted to open up like a chain of clinics or spas. You can make millions. Absolutely. It's absolutely possible. I don't want to do that. It's the reason why I didn't become a lawyer. I don't want to work all that hard. I really love having time off. To me, there is nothing more valuable than my time. And I'm earning enough money that I can live very comfortably. And all I think about now is how do I get more time? So it's to me, it's less about making more money now, and it's more about making more money or the same amount of money in less time. So I'm constantly looking at how much can I raise my rates by in order to cut back my hours.
So this has been a really fantastic conversation. I've loved sitting here, and I hope people have gotten a lot of value out of this. I've got a few more quick questions. They don't necessarily need to have quick answers. One that I love to ask a lot of people: being a business owner can be stressful, let alone when there's a pandemic that strikes the entire world. What do you do when you find yourself frustrated or overwhelmed? What's your go-to for finding some sort of relief?
I get resourceful. So when the pandemic hit last year and I had to close my business indefinitely, I had no idea if when I was going to be able to work again, how long I had to keep my business closed. Nobody had any idea. It's the first global pandemic of our lifetime. I was convinced that massage therapists wouldn't be allowed to work for the rest of the year. I thought people wouldn't want to get a massage ever again. I thought, okay, that's it. That's the death of massage therapy. There's a pandemic. Nobody's ever going to want to touch anybody ever again. That's it. I have to go to law school now. That's what I was thinking. So I closed my business, had no idea how long it was going to stay closed for. And I went and I got a part-time job at a wine store because it was essential. And I was going to be damned if I was going to come out of this pandemic in debt. I thought, no, I'm not letting this impact my savings account. So I uh, called my bank and I changed my mortgage to drop my mortgage payments by $1,000 a month. I got a job. I got government assistance. Um, and I started looking into law schools. I just thought, okay, this is a hiccup and I'm not going to let it get to me. And I did everything I could to maintain my bank balance, basically. And it turns out that here in Ontario, we're essential workers, we're healthcare providers, and we were only mandated to close for 2 months. So I chose to stay closed for 4 months, but I came out on the other side with my savings intact and hit the ground running and have been fully booked since I reopened my practice in July. So I just kind of doubled down. I went hardcore with making it known that massage therapists are essential and that you can still get a massage. I know that that's not the case for everybody. I know that there are a lot of places in the world, and there are even places elsewhere in Canada where massage therapists are not considered essential and they physically aren't able to work. Or maybe you're immunocompromised or you live with somebody who's immunocompromised and you don't feel comfortable working. And I completely respect that. But the way I see it, just because I couldn't do massage didn't mean I couldn't work. There's work. There's always money. There's always work. You might have to be creative and make some changes, and you might not be making as much as you're used to. When I went and got that job at the wine store, that was a $100 an hour pay cut. But I did it because it was money. So I could still work. I couldn't massage for a couple months, but I could work. There's always something. Get creative, get resourceful. Yeah, I cried. I turned off my online booking and I sat and I cried and I felt sorry for myself for 5 minutes. And then I went into decision making mode and I got resourceful and I made some changes. I'm not better than anybody else. I think I'm just more resourceful.
And speaking of being resourceful, what has been a favorite resource of yours? A book, a podcast, a person, software, whatever, something that you really enjoy or you've known or it's been very helpful in your business or your life?
Well, obviously, my business coach, she changed my life. Also, a very big fan of the Two Massage Therapists and a Microphone podcast. I've been interviewed on there 3 times. I'm a big fan of the Massage Business Blueprint podcast. Even though they're American, and so a lot of what they talk about is like American finances, and I don't understand it and has nothing to do with me. Ramit Sethi, who I had mentioned before, Sethi, he's just like a money guy. Uh, I really like his take on money. Um, yeah, oh, Marie Forleo, she's also a business coach. I did her copywriting training and I'm on her mailing list. So I do a lot of sort of self-help, personal development, sales and marketing kind of reading and research and podcast listening. Oh, and
Well, there's
you, of
no,
course. I'm part of your Facebook group and you give excellent advice.
I appreciate it. There's no right or wrong answer. For you, what does it mean to be a massage boss and not only a massage therapist?
Being a massage boss is about freedom, ultimately. Control over my time, control over my finances, getting to choose where I work, when I work, who I work with, how I want to work, how I want to run my business, how much time I take off, and how much money I have to spend with that time off. That to me is what being a boss is all about. It's about freedom, it's about liberty, it's about autonomy and control, and knowing that I've got my own back and I can do this even during a pandemic.
This has been a very wide-ranging conversation, which I've loved. What is one specific thing someone can do that there's a pretty surefire chance it's going to have a measurable positive impact on their business?
Get a niche. We call it niche in Canada. It's a French word. It's pronounced niche. You guys call it niche. Get a niche. That's it. You just get it. You have to. You have to. You can't be all things to all people, and you don't want to be all things to all people. And if you're marketing your services, you have to know who you're talking to. If you're going to market yourself, when you design your website, when you post on Facebook, when you post on Instagram, when you introduce yourself at a party and talk about what you do, it's not enough to say, I'm a massage therapist. Okay, so what? Why should I come see you? Oh, well, massage therapy is good for injury rehab and stress relief. And okay, great. Why should I come see you? You need to have an answer for that question. And getting a niche will completely change the way you talk about yourself, the way you talk about your services, the types of people that you're talking to, and the consistency of the results that you're going to get. Yeah, I would say absolutely get a niche, get a focus, have a specialty, have something that you're known for, and get help. It doesn't have to be this hard. It really doesn't. It breaks my heart to watch people struggle and burn out and work to the point that they're breaking down their bodies and retiring because they can't make it work. It doesn't have to be this way. You can help people and make an excellent living. But running a business doesn't come naturally to most people. It's a skill that can be learned, just like massage therapy is a skill that can be learned. I went to school for 2 years to become a massage therapist. I had to pay somebody to teach me how to be a massage therapist. And then when I got out, I paid somebody to teach me how to run a business. That's all it is.
So thank you for sitting down and having this conversation. This has really been fantastic. If someone wants to connect with you, learn more about you, where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, I am all over the internet. So you can find me at nickirmt.com. That's NICKI RMT, as in registered massage therapist.com. On Facebook, it's Nicki.rmt. On Instagram, Nicki.rmt.
So thank you again. Thanks for sitting down. Thanks to everyone who's watching, listening, however it is that you're consuming this content. And that's all for this interview. And I'll catch you all on the next one.